What up, though, y'all? It's Chris. Appreciate you connecting with me while I do my 20,000 step challenge. And I'm actually about to sit for a second because I've been under this 85-degree sun today and it ain't playing around. I'm actually quite glad that this is the last day of this challenge because it's been a doozy, as I expected it to be. But you guys remember that brick lady, the chick who had the giant swelling on her face? She claimed that some guy hit her upside the head with a brick because he wanted her number, and she refused, and he retaliated by hitting her with a brick. And it was men around that just stood there and watched and didn't do anything. And it was a whole mess. This was used as an opportunity to drag black men and claim that black men don't protect black women. And women were talking about how they're the least protected group. It was just a mess. The whole thing was a mess. It's been a year since then, and I don't know whatever really became of her. Last time I seen any sort of update with her, something that she was doing had caught up to her. The funny thing about it is that the whole thing turned out to be a scam. The whole thing turned out to be a big fat lie, a hoax. And it was other black women who exposed her. So shout outs to sisters for holding other sisters accountable. It's something that doesn't really seem to be done all that often. But in this case, it was some sisters who exposed her and held her accountable. And what's wild about this is it seemed like other black women were still defending her and her bad behavior and were going after the women who exposed her. So forget the fact that this woman's a liar, this woman's a con, this woman's a thief. Forget those things. We're gonna be more mad at the scammer. We're gonna be more mad at the people who are exposing the scammer than the scammer herself. What a silly thing, man. So that whole thing, it turned out to be a lie. It did not happen. And it's funny thinking about it now because it was all over the internet, which this is what she wanted. She wanted it to go viral, which is why she did her video, sharing it on TikTok and whatnot. She wanted it to go viral. She got her viral moment and everything was cool. She had some sort of GoFundMe or one of those fundraising platforms. She had an account. She made a bunch of money off of it, tens of thousands of dollars she raised. And that also was a repeat thing. The women who exposed her showed how in previous years she had did another grift that resulted in her getting tens of thousands of dollars in GoFundMe money. And this was now establishing itself as being a pattern. She would do something, pocket tens of thousands of dollars, and then I guess look for the next scam. She won't be able to pull this off again because the whole brick thing, it just became too viral. It got picked up by all of the usual junk journalism platforms like the Shade Room. And the reason why I have the disdain for the Shade Room that I do is because when there is something to report about dragging a black man and a black woman being a victim, they pick it up, they put it in all their feeds, they monetize it. But when the narrative that they originally believed to be true turns out not to be, they never really do any kind of follow-up correcting it. So they never held the brick lady accountable. They never followed up saying, okay, this woman was scamming, this woman was lying, the whole thing was a hoax. They never followed up with that. They ran with the first thing for clicks and likes and all that sort of stuff, but they never followed up. So it's just funny to me how you get this sort of bad behavior over and over and over, and it goes unchecked. I remember seeing some video where she assaulted a total stranger. It was a white guy. She slapped him across the face, and then she thought it was funny, and then she like dropped down and started like twerking. Just really ratchet ghetto behavior. That's embarrassing. And it's the worst type of embarrassment when people are behaving in an embarrassing fashion and they just lack the self-awareness to realize it. So you think it's funny you hit a total stranger, but afterwards you just gonna drop it low. It's just wild to me. But after behaving this way of striking someone, she then wants to weaponize a story of herself being struck, of herself being assaulted, to try to make money off of. So I wonder what's going on with, like, I'm not gonna look it up because it's just not worth my time to look up what ended up becoming of her. But I sometimes do wonder with some of these things we talk about, some of these viral moments, after the story has died down, after it's moved on, whatever became of the people involved. Like the one I was talking to y'all about yesterday with the woman fighting at the IHOP. For that, honestly, I am curious what the update will be, because here's a woman that can just take the plea deal, get no jail time, be on probation for a year, complete an anger management class, and she never has to look back. And she is choosing to go to court just based on pride and stubbornness. She's choosing to go to court because she wants to prove she was not in the wrong, whatever. But you were taking place in the foolery, though. So you could believe in yourself you're justified and you're right, you're righteous, but you still were taking part in the foolery. You were there. Regardless of how it started, you were an active participant in it, and there's consequences for this. But she wants to go in front of a jury with that stank attitude, and she thinks that this is gonna somehow, some way play well for her. It's not. I really hope somebody in her inner circle, though she really seems like the type that's just too stubborn to listen to anybody's reason, even if it's for her own good. But I really hope that somebody eventually in her circle can get through to her and tell her this ain't it. Actually, no, they can't. They can't, because they made it known that offer is no longer on the table. Now that she's rejected it and selected to go to trial, they were sure to make it known that offer is no longer an option. So she really messing up here, man. So even if somebody does manage to penetrate through that thick skull of hers what a bad idea this was, I think it's just too late for her. Facing 5 years when you could have just had probation, you can't tell me, man, that these women are right for leadership. Because I can't fathom a rational and reasonable thinking man making this call. I can't. I could not imagine a rational and reasonable thinking man being like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and just go to trial, forget that anger management, all that sort of stuff. But I digress, man. The brick lady, it's been a year. Last time I seen anything on her was a few months back, and yeah, it did seem like she was in some sort of legal trouble for something that she did. Not really sure. But you can only do silly stuff like this for so long before it catches up to you. And I often be wondering, because she's like some single mom, and I oftentimes be wondering, the women that behave like this, like, do they not realize that if and when they get caught up, they're going to be taken away from their child? And who's going to raise a child then? Likely you're not with the daddy. Not to be funny, but a lot of times they've had a baby with some pookie, and he's not around, he's absent. So what happens to the child when you find yourself in a bad situation? When I was raising my son, because he's an adult now, but when I was raising my son, when I was out and about with him, I always applied him to my decisions. So I wasn't going to do anything silly that was going to result in me getting in trouble, going to jail, or anything, because I always would think, what's going to happen to him if I'm not around? His mom's around, true enough, but his mom's not me. His mom can't do what I do. His mom can't raise him to be a man. So him being a boy, that will one day be a man, and I'm his father, it was really important to lead by example, and that always kept me in check. I wasn't out here doing no stupid stuff. I retired foolery, because I just didn't want to be in trouble. So when you got women like this that's out here just moving foul, I wonder why they never stop to think how this is going to affect their child if this goes left and they end up getting in trouble. Do they just think that the laws don't apply to them? Like they're going to get in trouble and everyone's going to go easy on them because they're a single mom? No, it does not work that way. Like you're going to have my children out here without their mom. No, you are having your children out here without a mom because you made choices that put you in this situation. But that's that sort of no accountability stuff I be talking about. And I've seen this, y'all. I have seen this. That very scenario that I just gave y'all, I've seen that. I've seen women do stupid stuff, and then now that they're being held accountable for it, now that there's some sort of punishment for it, they want to hold the legal system accountable instead of themselves. Like, you guys are going to make my kids have to be years without their mom. No, you are making it so that your kids are going to go years without their mom. You made decisions. You put yourself here. So who ends up with her kid if she goes to jail? In both cases with these women, Brick Lady and the IHOP lady, in both cases, what happens with their children if they go to jail? Do they fall on the grandma? It's just man, we got to do better categorically, right? But I'm going to leave it there, and I'm about to get back to doing my walk. I appreciate y'all connecting with me, man. Thumbs up, subscribe. Peace.